and welcome into another edition of the Audible. Glad to have you along here, and we're excited to bring you a preview of the 2A through the 4A for this week. And man, we have got a bunch of games on tap. I mean, this is uh, going to be a huge week for high school football. There's going to be a lot of, there's just going to be a lot of I say conference championships decided. It's going to be real close.
Yeah, it really
That's
is.
for sure. And so there's a lot of good games out. One of the best weeks of high school football out there this week. And we're glad to have you along. And Justin Smith sitting here beside me, and I'm Brad. And man, we're excited to be talking some high school football once again right here on the Audible.
Yeah, it's a good day. One more week of high school football. We're closing in on the playoffs, but Brad, yesterday, you guys that were in the live chat, we was so much fun with you guys yesterday. Thanks for joining us, and you made
Yeah.
made the whole hour just fly by. And let's have another day like that again today. Already got Jonathan Carter on one of the stream sites talking about Bismarck versus Prescott. We'll get to that.
Yeah, yeah, we're going to get to that one plus many more, and we're making sure that the way is clear for us to be at Bismarck versus Prescott this week. Waiting on a call back from the athletic director there at Prescott. That is the plan as of right now. So we're looking forward to that. But man, we've got a bunch of games to talk about right here on the Audible, and if you want to see something talked about, make sure that you chat there in the comment box, either on YouTube, on Facebook. I do not have the ability to check the ASN side of things. I've got the high school side of things pulled up though, and I can
Yeah,
pull.
we got it.
But anyway, share it out with your friends. That's the biggest thing. Get it out there on social media right now, right here, the Audible, and we're getting ready to start talking about 2A.
Yeah, it's 2A through 4A today, Brad, and we're going to start with number one EPC's Poinsett County Warriors taking on Lee County. EPC 6-1. Lee is 0-6.
Yeah, not a great matchup, obviously for Lee. It's going to be a tough matchup for them. Obviously, EPC is a tough matchup for anybody,
Yes,
and
yes.
especially when you're 0-6. But you just don't ever want to count it out because last week we thought that Fordyce would just go and roll over Lakeside. That didn't happen. So you just never know for sure until it's just right down there, and you play ball. But right now, you got to say EPC would probably going to win that game pretty easily, pretty handily. And I wish I could say a whole lot more about it, but there really ain't much else to talk about.
Pen. I need a pen. I left mine over there. Yeah,
Pen
they're
right
just
there.
really not. EPC, that backfield, including the quarterback, they're just too good right now.
Yeah.
And they're my pick. I want them to win it all this year. They're just a fun team to watch play. They really were last year, and they look to be the same this year. Look,
Randy Pickrell on with us right now. He
hey,
said
Randy.
glorified practice for EPC. One of the things about Randy, he's not shy about letting his opinion fly. That's for
Nope,
sure.
not at all.
But you can also listen to Randy and Alan and all the folks on the Randy Pickrell show tonight. And I'm sure that they'll have some message about 2A, and I'll probably join them after Pee Wee football practice because that's my life.
Sure is. All right, we'll move on. Number two, Junction City. They're 6-1, taking on Murfreesboro. They're 5-2.
Well, Murfreesboro has bounced back after a loss to Gurdon. That was kind of out of nowhere. It was a blowout loss, and just kind of, I don't know exactly what happened in that ball game, but it was a rough game that day for Murfreesboro. They've gotten it going offensively. I mean, I'm getting numbers now um, from Murfreesboro every week, and I mean they're throwing for over 400 yards a game. Cooper Caldwell is really doing well, but they have their hands full this week. I'm going to tell you, the sheer size of Junction City is going to give a lot of teams problems.
Yeah, that's the
And
big boys.
right, huge line there. And I'll tell you what, they Junction City has kind of got things going. You see their scores every week. They're blowing people out. So Murfreesboro got their hands full this week. A win by Murfreesboro would really throw a kink into things
Big time.
in the 2A for sure. You want to talk about really making a surprise. This would be a big surprise here if they were able to win that ball game. I know it's at Murfreesboro, and I know that there's some magic down there at Murfreesboro. But boy, right now you got to say Junction City's got every opportunity not only to win that conference but really play deep into the playoffs.
Yeah, Murfreesboro is going to be looking for diamonds, but they're going to find garnets. Just they're not going to win that game. Sorry, guys.
Well, hey, look, you know what? You gave them bulletin board
I
material.
hope
I'm
so.
telling you,
That'd be
they,
awesome if
they
they did.
probably they probably clipped that already. By the time that came out of your mouth, they clipped that,
Oh,
and now they're going to play that over and over and over. So again, you play the games, man. That's
I
why you
know it.
play the games. So just 5-2. That's a respectable record, and they just got to figure out a way to obviously to they're going to have to stop the pressure,
Yep.
because again, they throw the ball so much now. Their offense is so much different than it was a couple years or even last year. They were more of a ground and pound team. Now they're definitely an air it out type of ball team. So you got to figure it out, and we'll see what happens.
Moving on. See who was it? Joe Blaze Bush talking about this game. Mount Ida number 3. They're 6-1 at Bigelow, who's 2-5. And Joe saying, Mount Ida's going to win by 5 scores. I
Mount
don't
Ida's
disagree.
they've got it going right now. That's for sure. They've got things going. They beat Hector 49-6. Hector handled Bigelow pretty easily, so I would think that right now you got to think Mount Ida's got every opportunity to win that ball game. Adam Vine says, "Love what you're doing for these kids. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much."
Yeah, Adam's my buddy, one of my favorite Marines.
Yeah,
Cool off, buddy.
uh,
He Pottsville parent right there.
gotcha. They've got us beat with size, that's for sure. Well, now, are we talking when we say us? Are we talking about Bigelow or are we talking about Mount Ida? I don't know which one you're talking about. But anyway, that be or maybe even Murfreesboro for that matter. Um, Let us know there in the comments. But anyway, yeah, I like Mount Ida. Right now that top three in the 2A, I mean, I think that they're definitely above and beyond. I think you can throw Cross County into that as well. Earl,
Yeah, they're really good.
Earl, they lost the other night, but I think Earl, a healthy Earl team, you've got to throw them in that mix. That's going to be an interesting matchup in the playoffs. And the
Hmm.
playoffs are going to be interesting second round and beyond in the 2A for sure.
We're moving on. You just talked about them. Number 4, Cross County. They're 5-2. They're hosting Des Arc. They're 5-2.
That's a
Number 8,
huge
Des Arc.
game,
Big time.
huge game there, and
Or
is it?
7, not 8. I was wrong on that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
number 7. Desark hung out on number 8 there for a while. Is that game at Desark or is it at Cross County?
It's at Cross County.
Okay, so that's obviously home game. That's where you start with this type of matchup here. Desark needs to win this game. If they don't want to end up in the 4 seed, and they don't want to end up at Mount Ida in the first round of the playoffs. So that's the big motivation right now. Talking about another big team. Cross County is one of those teams. They're very big. They've done some good work this year. I think they're probably they're definitely a better football team this year under Van Pascal than they were last year. And so, you got to think right now that with the home field advantage, Cross County has got the advantage there, leg up in that one. But again, you're talking about a very, very large game for both teams.
Yeah, you just can't count out Des Arc. They've been a good team every year. We've seen them play for the past couple of years. They're always competitive. So, it's hoping that's a good game.
Danny Bill is the one that when you're talking about 2A, you're talking about Cross County. That I mean, he's like a unicorn out
Yeah.
there. 6'6" and 325 pounds, and he's playing quarterback and he's playing running back, and they're throwing him the ball at tight end and different things of that nature. That's big, but can Desark match up? Desark's got a good sized line themselves. I mean, they're not small by any means.
No,
Physicality, though, it's how physical can you be against a team like Cross County that's going to line up and they're going to be big. I mean, it really is one of those games where you just kind of man up.
it's 2A football. You're gonna
Yeah,
get punched in the mouth.
right. You just man up and you just see what happens.
Joe was talking about Bigelow having size on Mount Ida, but it shouldn't be a factor. He doesn't think. I tend to agree to today. Uh,
Desart got the most points per game in 2A right now. Yeah, 60, what was it, 69 last week?
yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, 69 points. I think Desart may be getting it together. Desart, it seems like every year, maybe just a little bit slow on the start, and then all of the sudden they kind of you see them start picking it up
Yeah, kick it
and
into gear.
kicking it into gear. And Joe, he's with it. That is a great matchup. That 2A2, man, it's ridiculous. It's so tough out there with EPC and Cross County and Des Arc and Earl. And I mean, there are teams that finish fifth and sixth in that conference that don't make the playoffs that
Hmm.
could make it anywhere else.
Moving on, number 5, Earl. They're 5-2, hosting McCroy, who's 3-4.
You got to think Earl has got the advantage again. How healthy is Earl? Randy might know a little bit about that. How healthy are they? Um, Goodness. I'm sorry. I've had
Yeah, Brad. Right
yeah.
before we
Here,
started the stream, Brad's wife had a bit of
let me
emergency.
take a quick break. I'll be right back. Hold
Yeah,
on.
let him go ahead. It's you can stay live with me, folks, or we can we'll go to bumper. I don't care. Keep it up in the chat. We'll keep talking. Uh, Joe Blaze, they're gonna bring everything they have, and they just don't have a whole lot this year. And our boys have unfinished business. Ah, it's that's a big call there, John. And hope it comes out for them. Now, just so everybody knows, I don't want any team to lose. I got no dog in any of this fight. The only dog I got is Pottsville, and we're having a few struggles this year. It Timmy Garcia, Clarendon High School football is going to win it all next season. Boy, put money on it, son. It hope they do. That'd be awesome. And man, this is great. We've got 50 live viewers on one page. You guys are just showing up and showing out for us right now. This is freaking awesome. No Chase Plowman. We have not covered 3A yet. They are next. We're number 5 right now on 2A, but we will get to 3A. I promise.
Yeah,
It's
sorry about that. It's I've got something going
Brad's
on.
got a mild emergency.
And it's not too huge, but
That's why I
anyway,
said mild
we'll see what happens here. Oh, hold on. Sorry. Sorry.
again.
Yeah.
It's all right. Uh, I'm gonna take a bumper real quick, guys. Oh, Randy, you haven't heard number 50 for Earl yet? There you go. See, yeah, it's hopefully he comes out healthy. We don't want any of these young men to get hurt, miss out any time. And time is too short in this high school football because it does come to an end. See, we got a man. This is awesome. You guys rock. Kendrick Carr ready for basketball. Man, I'm always ready for basketball. It's I get to watch these Pottsville Apaches every game they play, and I got to go see them play at the state tournament last year. You can check that out on Pottsville Apache Athletics on YouTube. J.C. Jones, when our starting point guard, as a no, not a sophomore, junior last year, put up 35 first round of the state playoffs. It was freaking awesome, and had a game-winning 2-point shot from the free throw line with basically no time left. It was nice.
All right.
He's back.
Apologize for
Woo!
that, man. My wife probably broke her arm today, so I mean
Just walking.
right just as we had gotten right there,
Oh,
getting ready
Kendrick,
to start.
I know
Yeah.
who you are, buddy.
Yeah.
It's yeah, you're known, man. But
Just as we were getting ready to start,
yeah, yeah,
it or got the news there. So anyway, all right. So I think I've got a little bit of time here now that we can figure this out. But we're at Earl.
yeah,
We don't,
McCoy.
yeah, we don't know. Uh, Down on the left,
No,
notice it. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
Kendrick, I know who you
we
are,
both
man.
know who you are, dude.
Yeah, we're good. We're
My dad
good.
was a teacher at Lamar, man. I know people.
So
But
as long as Earl is healthy, you think even if they may even be down a man, you think they've got a leg up there in that McCrory game. That one is one they need to win, though. I
yes,
mean, if they drop that one, then they start dropping rungs down in the playoff race there. And of course, they got the win over Desert 28-26 earlier in the year, and so now if they lose that ball game, then they start moving down the rungs a little bit. If Desark wins and they lose, then Desark starts moving up. So
yeah.
that there is a lot to play for still in that 2A2.
Moving on. Next is number 6, Carlisle. They're 6-1. They're hosting number 8, Beard and the Bears coming in at 5-2.
Man, Carlisle, this is a big win or big game they need to win right now. for them because if Beard wins this one, they probably lock that conference up.
Yep.
Looking at the rest of the schedule, without looking at the rest of the schedule, I think they've got a leg up. The win that they pulled over Hampton last week was
Big time.
one of the surprises of the state, really,
Hmm.
last week. Because I mean, I just felt like Hampton was rolling and maybe kind of getting in themselves up into that state title contention there into at least kind of making it deeper into the playoffs. Not to say they can't now, but Bearden really said, "Hey, wait a minute, don't forget about us." And so now Carlisle, if they win that game, it could cause a three-way tie there in that conference,
Which
and
is
then
always fun.
you get into playoff points and all that. So that'll be an interesting game. Carlisle, Baylor Houck is a kid that has played well this year, stepping in. Last year they had a guy named Tanksley there that. I mean, ninth grade, they kind of thought he was going to be the prodigy quarterback there, and he moved on, and so he's not even playing football right now at Cabot.
Wow.
He's playing baseball at Cabot. So,
That's a
um,
big change.
yeah, Randy says he may go to the Carlisle game this week. I mean, that's a good game. It's definitely
Yeah.
one's got something riding on it for sure.
And look, let's face it, Carlisle games are always fun to go to. That them
It's great
2A stadiums
atmosphere.
get packed out. There's lines waiting just while the game's going. It's always a good time at
That's
Carlisle,
yeah,
especially Carlisle Desert. I love going to that game.
yeah. It's a
Uh,
great atmosphere for sure.
we'll move on. Number 9, Hampton. They're 6-1, hosting England. They're 3-4.
Yeah, Hampton needs to bounce back. You would think they would
Yeah.
bounce back in this one. They've got every opportunity to do it anyway. So, Hampton playing much better this year at 6-1. Um, you just haven't heard anything out of Hampton in a
Mm.
long, long time now, and here they are, kind of running up the boards now. And again, now that I guess they're saying, well, we beat Carlisle. Carlisle needs to beat Bearden now so we can get into that conversation, and then it'll come down to playoff points at that
Yep.
point. Who's got the most of them? Without looking, I don't know. So that said, Hampton is hoping for a Carlisle victory, but you're looking at that conference right now. Top three seeds most likely going to be some combination of Carlisle, Bearden, and Hampton.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Moving on, number 10, Hector, after a tough loss last week to Mount Ida, they host Johnson County West Side, who's 0-6.
They are going to bounce back
Yeah,
this
I
week.
think so.
I think they've got a good shot at doing that, and
And a pretty clear way forward, I think.
right. I think Hector's a decent team.
They are.
They're a decent team. They're they're not bad. They've got some athletes over there. They got mollywopped last week though.
Yeah.
Mount Ida was ready for them. They were
Yeah.
ready for them.
Mount
So
Ida's a good football team. That's why they're
yeah,
ranked number
for
3.
sure, for sure. So anyway, they're going to bounce back this week most likely with a win possibly over the Rebels.
Yeah, I don't see that not happening. And good luck to them. All right, next up, we're going to be talking about the 3A. Going to start with number 1, Salem. They're 7-0. They're taking on Mountain View, who's 3-4 at Mountain
So
View.
for Salem, um, the biggest hurdle that they have left is going to be Mayflower.
Oh, Randy said Bearden has the most tiebreaker points today.
Well,
So,
I'm going to tell you, Randy knows
yeah, he does. He
he's
knows
a
that 2A.
he's a 2A guy for sure. Salem, it's kind of one of those games again. Kind of got to go to Mountain View. Anything's possible, but Salem right now is the better football team in that game in that matchup. So right now, you got to think that they're getting ready for that Mayflower game. That's the big game in that conference. Them and then Atkins. Mayflower. We were told to stop sleeping on Mayflower yesterday by Mike Gailey. I know all about them, and I tell you right now, they have only allowed, I believe, 27 points all year long. One
Dang.
one score last week to Quitman, and so now they still have the toughest part of their schedule left as well because they've still got Salem, they still got Atkins. They're going to be tested very hard.
Next up, number 2, 7-0 Mansfield. They're at Boonville, who's 5-2. Don't matter what Boonville's record is, that's a tough football team.
That's got to be the game of the week right now in 3A. Boonville's not in our top 10 in 3A, and that's just getting down to the end of the season as we are. That's hard to say. We talked about Prescott as well. While you were putting this together, you said Prescott at 6-1's not even in your top 10.
Yeah,
No, they're not. They're not right now because you've got so many teams that it's just deep. It's a deep class. It really
yeah,
is. You've got, 13, 14 guys that are teams that are really like, can you say that how many classes can you say? I think 3A and 4A this year. You could look at it and say there's probably 10 teams that can win it.
yeah. The conferences are stacked. They're deeper than they ever have been, and I mean we've seen it past couple years. They just keep getting better and better.
Yep.
Chase Plowman asking if we think Mansfield will beat Boonville again this year.
Well,
It says they can.
I mean, they're number 2 in the state for a reason.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, the Mansfield Tigers are very, very good.
Yes.
Um, we see that for sure. I think that the Mansfield folks may not think that,
Yeah.
but we've been seeing that now. I love it when, and I'm not just talking about Mansfield. I'm talking about a lot of teams. They say, "Well, don't sleep on us," or you guys are underrating us or whatever. Well, gosh, you're in the top 10 of a 48, uh,
Yeah.
48 in the class. I
That's
mean,
pretty
that's
good
pretty
numbers.
good. It's pretty good, and I mean, there are definitely teams that could be in it that are not. But number two, you're solidified at this point, and
Yep.
Mansfield is easily a state title contender. And you look at that top five in the 3A and you say that is a really good top five, but then go below that. Glen Rose only lost to Bismarck, Mayflower, Atkins, very, very good football teams.
Yeah.
Smackover, one of the best offenses in the state of Arkansas.
Hmm.
And then Rivercrest, I mean, how can you ever count out Rivercrest?
Yeah.
Um,
There's just athletes everywhere.
Yep,
Everywhere.
for sure. So what we got next?
Number three, Bismarck, the game we're wanting to go to. They're 6-1 at Prescott, the team that's underrated, 6-1.
Well,
Not underrated.
anytime that you have to go to Prescott, that's always tough. That's going to be a
Always. Them
it's going to
curly
be a
wolves are ready.
it's going to be a tough matchup. I've said this before. I don't think anybody plays harder than Bismarck does. And so, with that said, I think that right now Bismarck is the favorite, but man, going to Prescott is something, and I think Prescott's getting it together. The one
Yeah.
loss they have, they got thumped
Yeah.
by Salem. I don't know what happened in that game. Somebody that's watching might be able to tell us a little bit about what happened in that game, but I can tell you that was one of the shocking surprises of the year when you look at Salem beating them 55 to nothing.
Yeah.
I
That
mean,
was nuts.
that was something, that game. I can't even believe that happened.
We didn't pick that score. Not even close.
No, not even close. I would have thought that would have at that time it was number 1 versus number 3.
Hmm.
And so I'm shocked by that one. But anyway, I if I had to pick today, I'd pick Bismarck, but it's a home game for Prescott. That's a tough game to go win. You've got history behind you if you're Prescott,
Yep.
and you got to fight a little bit of history if you're Bismarck right now because many, many years Bismarck has went down there and got beat.
Yes. We'll move on. Number four, Charleston. They're 6-1 at Cedarville, who's 1-6, and no, that's a no doubter.
Yeah,
Sorry about
well,
that.
I mean, it's a get right game for
Yeah.
sure. Long bus ride from Prescott to Salem. That may have,
Yeah,
well,
you ain't around.
they played at Arkansas Tech. They met up at Arkansas Tech, so they met in the middle there on that game. Randy said, "Oops" on the caps lock there. Yeah, that was
Which middle for Arkansas Tech? That's
well. I
Salem.
mean,
It's
well, it's about 100. Well, it's 139 miles from here to Salem. We know that for a
yeah.
fact because we went up there, and then
It's a 3 hour ride to Prescott from
right.
here.
So it's about the same amount. But anyway, this game here, Charleston, I put Charleston in that mix with the top four there. I think they're really, really good. I mean, you saw them yourself. You saw the
Oh
weapons
yeah, they
that
got
they have.
weapons all over the field. One receivers who can catch the ball. I mean, anything you throw at them, if it touches their hands, they're not dropping it. And a quarterback who can hit windows, can get around inside, outside the pocket. He's quick as a hiccup himself, and make accurate downfield throws. They're just a tough matchup for anybody.
I'll tell you what, I was really impressed by the Mansfield win over them, even though
Yeah,
it was a home game. I really thought
still.
that the offense of Charleston would be hard to match up with, and so that's why I'm so impressed with Mansfield. That the wins over Bismarck and Charleston are the best two wins that
Yep.
anybody has in 3A for sure.
Mm-hmm. To next up. That's number 5, Fordyce. They're 6-1. They're hosting Dumas, who's 5-2.
This is a big
Another tough
matchup.
matchup.
You
Yeah,
want to talk about a game that got a whole lot bigger real quick. That was that game right there last week with Lakeside beating Fordyce. Now, my understanding is just one of those games that just happened and it probably won't happen again. No Cadillac Ellison in
yeah,
that game, and I mean he just makes such a difference. 6'4" and 250-pound quarterback.
yeah. He's a monster.
He's huge, and he can throw the football too. And when they need to throw the football, he's there. I haven't seen them since game one. And they started out coming out in a spread, and they were down 12-0. They said, "The heck with that. We're going back to the wing tee and offset eye and different things like that." And they ended up winning that game 40. What was it? 48-26. But after the 12-0 start there, they outscored Monticello 48-14. In fact, they
Ooh,
scored 48. I think it was 48 to 8. I believe they outscored them there until they scored their very last touchdown at
man.
the very end. So yeah. So anyway, um, so I expect Fordyce to bounce back. My understanding, 9 fumbles in that game, and
Yikes.
it was just one of those games for them, and uh, we'll see what happens.
All right, moving on. Beavers at Glen Rose. They're 6-1 and number 6. They're hosting Cutter Morning Stars 5-2. Another good matchup.
Yes, yes, that's a big matchup in the 3A4 there, and the question for Glen Rose now is how much are they going to be challenged
Yeah,
going out in this conference because they definitely want to see a challenge before they get to the playoffs because, like you said, 3A is so deep. I think that they're a good football team, but again, the best game that they are the most they've been challenged was Bismarck. Bismarck handled them pretty good, and they've played some good non-conference games. I mean, they played Bauxite, they played Malvern, they won both of those games. I mean,
yeah.
that's two big
That's t
feathers in your cap there
that's
for sure.
tall order taking down two 4A teams.
Jonathan Carter says, personally think Glen Rose has the easiest schedule of any of the top 10 teams could beat them. Well, again, go back to the big 4A wins there. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the thing. And they were up 14-0 on Bismarck, and
yeah.
Bismarck woke up and the question there was if they didn't turn the ball over so much, would they have been in the game? I think if you played that game over again, I think it would have been much closer than it was. So, I'll tell you another thing. Glen Rose does things offensively that probably only Charleston does as
Yeah.
far as just formations and different things that they do. I like Hood at quarterback. He, you know, I think he is a little bit turnover prone at times,
Hmm.
but at the end of the day, they're going to put up points on you, and that's a good football team over there at Glen Rose.
And Jonathan, don't forget, they still gotta go to Paris this year, and Paris is rolling.
Paris is playing a lot better right now for sure. That they're 6-1 right now. I don't know who does Paris have this week.
Paris has they got Magnet Cove, who's 5-2, and
So
Glen.
big matchups there in that
Yeah,
conference this week.
yeah. And we'll move on to the next one. Number 7 Mayflower. They're 7-0, hosting Episcopal 0-7. Don't see that one going any other
Yeah,
way.
yeah, that one right there's that's a tough one. Mayflower again hasn't allowed but 27 points all year long. Allowed 6 to Quitman last week, and Quitman came in the game 6-1. Again, it's not about this game as much as it is for Mayflower as the next two. Mayflower season is in front of them right now.
Yeah,
Mayflower at number 7 has a chance to get themselves up into that top 4 for sure.
they just
Right
gotta
at
keep
that,
winning. Just gotta keep
they
winning.
just got to keep winning for sure.
Got a few comments. Jonathan asked if they still got their starting quarterback at Glen Rose. I do not know. Haven't seen anything on that. Have you, Brad?
I have not. I assume that. I mean, as far as I know, they do, but I don't know anything about it.
Anthony's saying don't sleep on Cutter. They are going to have to play their best game of the year, but this group's hungry. Yeah, they're going to play their best game of the year. That's going to be a tough out for them. We'll move on to number 8 Atkins. They're 6-1. Big bounce back last week for them at Quitman, who's also 6-1. Go eat catfish at Quitman down there. They got some good. That's a pretty nice little restaurant.
Huge matchup here in the conference. You know, right now I think Quitman has had the advantage as far as the scheduling goes. They haven't had to play any of the top teams up until last week, and they got beat by Mayflower, and so now Atkins goes in there. They've still got to play Salem as well in that
Yeah,
conference. So, yeah, they're definitely being tested right now. Being at Quitman, trying to get a bounce back game. You know, Atkins lost Mason Martin for the season at
yep,
running back, and that's a tough one there. But man, I'll tell you what, the Crawford kid at quarterback, really, really good quarterback. Stands about 6'1", about 210 pounds, good sized kid. He can run it a little bit, but dude has got a lively arm. My gosh, that kid can throw the football. So you know, Atkins is also very, very physical. And the sophomore running back, and his name escapes me right now, that they replaced Martin with, is very capable. Atkins does a really good job on offense, setting things up. And last week they did a good job against Melbourne, winning 38-7. I'm telling you, the 3A2 these last couple weeks is going to be fun.
I believe you're right. Atkins is a good football team. Number 9, Smackover, probably one of the best offenses in the 3A right now. They're 6-1, hosting Parker's Chapel, who's 0-7, and yeah, like we said earlier, that's going to go one way.
Smackover just trying to keep pace at this point. You know, the loss to Bismarck. You know, probably right now they're hoping for a loss this week by Bismarck to
Yep.
Prescott, and then you know Smackover gets their opportunity against Prescott later on, which would be one in the next 2 weeks. I'd have to pull that up to see when, but they're having a good year down there at Smackover. One of their better years in quite a while. The quarterback's name escapes me. He was a D3 Auto Sales MVP of the week. Speaking of that, our MVP of the week voting is still open, by the way. Mitchell Polk, by the way, is that kid's name down there at Smackover, the quarterback. D3 Auto Sales MVP of the week is open right now. You can go and vote for your favorite player. All you got to do is get in there and just vote in the poll. Just click the person that you like. And looking at that right now, Jacob Miles at Searcy has 27% of the vote right now. He's the number one guy, 4,476 votes in, and he's got 27%, which is 1,225 votes right now. And this is actually probably the best week as far as just those votes being spread out amongst all of the rest of the people. But anyway, you can go vote into that if you'd like. And again, if you want your player to be in that, all you got to do is just message us after the game if um, somebody has a great game there. Rumor has it Polk will be back this week. That would be big. That they've been able to score points without him outside of the Bismarck game, but Polk does make a difference there. He's really, really good.
While we're talking about voting, go vote for Dirks.
Yes, go vote for Dirks in the
Got 3 more days.
T-Mobile event there, the Friday Night Lights event there. That's a big deal. And I guess yesterday they were up almost 300,000 votes, which is
Yeah,
big.
the Oregon governor decided to jump in and say, like something like Arkansas could ever beat Oregon.
Right.
Huh, we can.
Yeah,
Sorry about it for you.
that was a dumb statement right there.
Yeah,
All
that
you're
was
gonna
not
do is
very smart.
fire up the fan base there for sure.
Moving on, last up in the 3A, number 10, Rivercrest. They're 5-2, hosting Osceola, 2-5.
Big rivalry
Yep,
game in this
think the
one.
Colts gonna take that one.
Big rivalry game in this one. Rivercrest has been able to bounce back after after losing Jaden Young there. Uh, yes,
Sorry, Randy cracking me up over here.
yeah, absolutely. Get it in there.
You're dead right, buddy.
Anyway, Jaden Young, um, losing him was big. That was a big deal there. But Jaden Ralph has stepped in for him at quarterback. Young was putting up numbers that would have made him probably in the mix for the D3 Auto Sales MVP of the year
Yep.
there. But, um, you know, unfortunately, from my understanding, he tore his ACL, and that I
Ooh,
guess he's going to be out for basketball as well, which stinks
yikes.
because he's a good basketball player as well.
Man, that's tough.
So anyway, but Ralph stepped in at quarterback. They've played pretty good. Buda Harris is in that mix. as far as the D3 Auto Sales MVP of the week. Right now, he's in the mix for that. So, if you're a Rivercrest fan, you can go vote for that. This game with Osceola, there's a lot of crossover between these two schools. Kids going to Rivercrest, kids going to Osceola. It's a good rivalry game as well. Osceola has struggled some. I hadn't heard a lot from the Osceola fans lately. At the first of the year, they were saying, "Hey, it's not a top 10 unless Osceola's in it."
Yeah,
Uh,
well,
but but it's been a little bit of a struggle for them this year. Whatever has happened, I don't know. They picked up the win last week against Harrisburg, and as long as they stay on pace here, they could even afford a loss here to Rivercrest and still make the playoffs. So anyway, Rivercrest being able to host that game, that's a big deal.
yeah.
And then with the athletes of Osceola, you can never count them out.
All right, Dog Walk asking if we're still talking 3A. Who do we give the edge to, Prescott or Bismarck?
Today, Bismarck.
Yeah, today. That could change tomorrow.
Well,
It's,
Bismarck right now, if you just look at the two, Bismarck's had the better
they
season.
have.
But I mean, Prescott is 6-1, and I think they're getting their stuff together. So
Yeah,
anyway,
they're not going to fold yet. Mary Watts, Salem versus Prescott. I think they were having in-team issues. A lot of bickering on the field with their boys, and Salem wanted to make sure the win last year at the last second wasn't a fluke. It
well,
talk it.
well,
No,
they did.
yeah, they
They put their.
did.
We're supposed to be there. I'm waiting on a phone call right now. We heard that Swark was going to be there, and I really don't want to fight over space. So if that's the
Yeah,
case, we may have to make a left turn and go somewhere else. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, we're supposed to be at Prescott Bismarck, and we're just kind of waiting on the confirmation to make sure. We also want you to go to YouTube, subscribe to us on YouTube, but also think about becoming a member of us on YouTube. We've got a big time playoff preview there that we'd like to do on YouTube there for members only. We'd like for you to be a part of that. We'd like for you to be a part of that. That's going to be, I really think that's going to be awesome. We're going to have playoff picks. We're going to have championship picks. We're going to break down the bracket for you. Each one of those brackets, you don't want to miss that. So think about joining us on YouTube there as a member. All right. What
oh,
we got? Is
it's
that it for 3A?
oh, that's it for 3A. It's time to hit that 4A.
Okay.
And we're going to start with number one, Darnell. They're 7-0 at Ozark 6-1. That's going to be a good football game.
Well,
Don't
that
sleep on Ozark.
that one right there, of course, Lamar gave Dardanelle all they wanted
Yes.
last week. 35-21 was the final, but Dardanelle was down 21-7. I heard the Jones kid got hurt,
Yeah, it was
and
tough.
and unfortunately, I think the game kind of went downhill from there for Lamar.
Yep.
Not to say that Dardanelle wouldn't have come back and won. That's just the story that I got, and I'm sticking
It's
to
the
it.
truth. I was watching it.
So anyway, you've got Ozark in the mix still in that conference at 6-1. You got Clinton in the mix now with the loss there. They had Dardanelle on the ropes.
Yep.
All they had to do was be able to make that field goal, and it was a big time field goal block that kept Dardanelle in the top spot in the 4A4. So Ozark, can cause a possible three-way tie here. Well, Ozark actually doesn't have any losses, so they could take control of
Mm-mm.
the conference. They still got Clinton looming right now
Yep.
on the last game of the season, so that's going to be an interesting matchup there. And there's a whole lot still on the line left in the 4A4.
Yeah, and Darnell fans, look out for Skolarski. I'm telling you right now, number 11 for Ozark, he
Yep.
will outrun everybody on your team. And I've seen Darnell on film, and I've seen him 2, 3 years in a row. Skolarski's fast. Look out.
The dog walk says best conference week this year. You're probably
Yeah, you
right.
ain't right. Yeah.
This is a great week for high school football.
Number two, Arkadelphia. They're 6-1, hosting Ashdown 1-6. We know how that one's going to go.
Well, I mean, again, that's why you play the games, but Arkadelphia is getting the home game number one, and as long as they take care of business, they should be okay. Ashdown has played all of the tougher teams in the conference, so now the question for Ashdown is can they figure out a way? Can they pull the upset this week? Maybe, maybe not. But the question for them is will they win the last two games of the season try to get themselves up into that playoff spot. I'm gonna go look at their
To
standings real quick.
Jerron Zachary asked who we got, Prescott or Bismarck. Right now, our pick's Bismarck, but that could change.
Right.
The Prescott's a good football team, and then he asked Prescott or Smackover. Don't know about that one. That's going to happen. What, 2 weeks?
Well,
That the last?
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
two,
I'll
next
go.
week or 2 weeks. I
I'll
can't
go look.
remember.
I'll go look at it here in just a second. Looking at the standings here in the 4A7 for Ashdown. Let me look here real quick. See if Ashdown can get.
Next week. Smackover the center
So,
point.
uh, Ashdown may be out of it in the playoffs. Let me see who they got left here. They've got Box. Well, no, they're not. They've got Bauxite and Fountain Lake. So if they were able to win both of those games, they could get into the playoffs. Actually, now they have to win against Bauxite for sure
Yeah.
to win that one. So anyway, so Ashdown still got something to play for though. If they can win against Arkadelphia, they really got something to play for.
Yeah, yeah. That's but it's the Badgers.
Tall
They're
task.
it's a tall, tall task.
Ozark has home run potential every play. That's right. Always a puncher's chance. They do.
Yeah, I witnessed it firsthand. It was an awful but fun
Hillary
experience.
Archer, she's a Johnny Skolarski fan. Hey, kid's a dog on the basketball court too. My
Y-
goodness, I mean, he would
Yeah,
D you up. He came out last year as a freshman and really made a difference for that Ozark basketball team.
yeah. He's
That,
going to be fun to watch
that
again this
Ozark
year.
that Ozark Pottsville basketball game in the district tournament last year was one of the best basketball games high school I've ever watched. I think it ended up being 80 to 78.
Yeah, it was
Um,
right down to it.
maybe yeah, overtime ball game, 80
Yeah,
to 78. Yeah.
it was a great basketball game. Hated to see Ozark lose like that, but it was really nice to see my
Uh,
Apaches win.
Dog walk, it's the top five actually in 4A that make it.
Yeah, because there's just so many 4A schools. Yeah,
Well, yeah, well, I'm trying to think here. Since they've shortened the classes, they allow the top five. I'm also Jackson Ross fan. That's my kiddo. All right. Well, there you
oh,
go, Jackson Ross.
who was the senior that
So,
Ozark lost last year? I can't remember his name.
what is
Um,
what is Jackson Ross's daddy's name? I got to ask you. So I graduated from Mountainburg, but I also went to Ozark for 5 years. And there was a guy named Jack Ross that I knew uh, growing up. I actually played baseball with him. Think Cutter Morningstar can win the conference. They're going to have to win this game this week to do that for sure. How about Lone Oak and Heber? Those are two teams that are outside our top 10 right now, but in that 4A2 right now, nobody's in the top 10 in 4A2. But
no,
you still got Mills, you got Heber, and you got Lone Oak. That's the conference championship game most likely. Um, well, I guess Mills still can say something about that. That's
yeah.
for sure.
Moving on, number 3, Southside. They're 7-0, hosting number 9, Gosnell,
Huge
7-0. Big
game.
game.
Huge game. So I've got two teams in the top 10 and 4A that keep saying, we got to move up. We got to move up. We got to move up. Well, the problem with that is that you've got teams that are winning in front of you. So that makes that's
Yeah,
what makes the difference. And so anyway, 53 online. Jackson Ross actually okay. All right. Anyway, um so the South Side game with Gosnell, big game again, another conference championship matchup, and the question is right now is who can knock off Southside in that conference because they've kind of dominated that conference since they come back. Now,
yeah,
my understanding is they're going up to 5A in the next cycle. I'm pretty sure that they are. So, who will come in and dominate that conference? Will Gosnell be the team? I know Gosnell's got athletes everywhere. That's for sure. I also know that in the 4A3, you want to be the winner of that conference. Just I think for the better playoff draw,
yeah,
and so this is a huge game there at Southside. I like Southside, by the way.
yeah. It's just, but it could go either way. You just don't know.
Kenny Simpson is a difference maker at head coach. I know that Gosnell does have a new coach though, and I know they like their coach there.
All right, we're moving
Y'all
on.
have no respect for Northeast Arkansas football. Well, I disagree. Anyway,
All right, number 4, Elkins. They're 6-1, hosting Green Forest. They're 3-4.
Yeah, this is a game right now that Elkins is probably going to find a way to win this game. Elkins is playing really good football right now, really, really good football right now, and they're going to be hard to knock off. Southside's defense is pretty solid. That's true. They are for sure. I'm gonna tell you what, the Elkins Elks right now. I think maybe not enough teams or not enough people are talking about them as a true contender for the state championship. Last year they made it to the state championship game. Arkadelphia handled them. I think they're playing really good football right now, and they're hitting their stride. Again, I think they've got a great shot at making it deep into the playoffs.
All right, next up, number 5, Hamburg. They're 6-1, hosting Star City. They're 0-7. Nykel Lewis, yeah, half of football for him again.
Well, that's the question now. He's got the Arkansas State record within reach here.
Yep,
He's got 2,000 yards, over 2,000 yards on the season right now. Um, but will he end up playing enough time in some of these games? Of course, we know that it's going to be a really good game with Stuttgart in Week 10.
yep,
What do you have that pulled up? Here, let me
I
pull it up.
can.
I can pull it up. Anyway, I'm gonna check their final schedule here. What's the other game that they have? I think it's DeWitt, if I'm not mistaken. And so they'll probably play a little bit longer in that game too. Um, Boy, that's a heck of a running back matchup there with DeWitt and and Hamburg there.
Yeah.
Corey Graham and Nykel Lewis. You want to talk about some running backs? Goodness gracious, that's going to be some running backs there. Um, anyway, so Hamburg. I mean, there's not a lot else to say about that one.
No.
Star City's lost like 14 in a row.